They say you never truly know someone until you see them at their worst. I used to think that was just something cynical people told themselves to justify their trust issues. After 15 years of marriage, I believed I knew every facet of my wife's personality, her morning routine, the way she hummed while cooking, how she always tucked her left foot under her right leg when reading. I knew her favorite coffee order, the specific way she liked her pillows arranged, and the exact tone her voice took when she was genuinely happy versus when she was just being polite. But knowing someone's habits isn't the same as knowing their character. It's like thinking you understand the ocean because you've walked along the beach. You see the surface, the waves, the foam, but you have no idea what lurks in the depths until something rises from below and pulls you under. My name is Andrew Mitchell, and this is the story of how my marriage imploded. How I discovered that the woman I'd built my entire adult life around was a stranger, and how I learned that sometimes the worst betrayals come wrapped in the most familiar packages. This isn't a tale of redemption or reconciliation. This is about consequences, about how one person's selfish choices can detonate like a bomb in the lives of everyone around them, and about how justice doesn't always come from a courtroom. Sometimes it comes from simply letting the truth see daylight. What happened to me could happen to anyone. That's the terrifying part. We all want to believe we'd see the signs, that we'd know if our partner was living a double life. But the truth is, when someone you love decides to deceive you, they have every advantage. They know exactly which buttons to push, which lies you'll accept, which excuses will satisfy you. They know your schedule, your blind spots, your insecurities. They can weaponize your trust against you. This story takes place in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'd lived for the past 20 years. It's a city that had always felt like home, until it became the backdrop for the worst chapter of my life. What you're about to read isn't embellished or dramatized. If anything, I've toned down some of the more unbelievable parts because even I sometimes struggle to accept that these events actually happened. But they did. Every conversation, every discovery, every devastating revelation, all of it real. Before everything fell apart, I thought I had it figured out. A successful career as a senior project manager at a telecommunications firm, a beautiful home in the suburbs, 2 kids who were thriving, and a wife who I believed was my partner in every sense of the word. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but we were solid. Or so I thought. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday in late September, though I didn't recognize it as such at the time. I was sitting in my home office finishing up a conference call with our West Coast team when my phone buzzed with a text message. The screen showed an unknown number with a 704 area code, local to Charlotte. The message was brief. "Does your wife always work this late?" I stared at the screen for a long moment, my finger hovering over the delete button. Spam, probably. Or someone with the wrong number. But something made me hesitate. The phrasing was too specific, too pointed. I typed back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared, indicating the person was typing. Then they disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, "Someone who thought you should know what's really going on." My stomach tightened. "Know what?" No response. I waited 5 minutes, then 10. Nothing. I tried calling the number, but it went straight to a generic voicemail. I sat there in my office, the evening light fading through the window, feeling the first whisper of unease. My wife, Jennifer Mitchell, was indeed working late that evening. She'd been doing so frequently over the past few months, or at least, that's what she'd told me. She worked as a marketing director for a mid-sized pharmaceutical company downtown, and according to her, They were in the middle of a major campaign rollout. Late meetings, client dinners, weekend strategy sessions. It had become the new normal. I'd been supportive, maybe even proud. Jennifer had always been ambitious, and seeing her career flourish felt like a shared victory. We'd had conversations about it, of course. I'd asked if she was burning out, if she needed to set better boundaries. She'd assured me everything was fine, that this was just a busy season, that it would calm down after the product launch in November. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? In 15 years, she'd never given me a reason not to. But now, staring at that cryptic text message, I felt something shift. It was subtle, like the first tremor before an earthquake. Easy to dismiss, easy to rationalize away. I almost did. I almost deleted the message and forgot about it. Instead, I screenshot it. Jennifer came home around 9:30 that night. I heard her car pull into the garage, heard the familiar sound of her heels clicking on the tile floor of the mudroom. She appeared in the doorway of my office, looking tired but put together in her navy business suit. "Hey," she said, offering a small smile. "Sorry I'm so late. The meeting ran over, and then traffic on I-77 was a nightmare." "No problem," I replied, studying her face. "How'd it go?" "Exhausting." She kicked off her heels and patted over to kiss my forehead. "I need a glass of wine and a hot shower. Have the kids eaten?" "Yeah, I made pasta. There's leftovers in the fridge if you're hungry." "You're the best." She squeezed my shoulder. "I'll grab something after I clean up." She left the room, and I listened to her footsteps ascending the stairs. Everything about the interaction was normal, routine, unremarkable. And yet, that text message sat in my phone like a splinter I couldn't quite extract. I spent the next 2 days trying to convince myself I was being paranoid. Jennifer maintained her usual routine. Early morning runs, conference calls from the home office, late evenings at work. Everything appeared normal, which should have been reassuring. But they did. On Thursday evening, I found myself doing something I'd never done before. I checked our credit card statements. Not because we had financial problems. Jennifer earned more than I did, and we'd always maintained separate accounts for personal expenses alongside our joint household account. I'd never felt the need to monitor her spending. The statement loaded on my laptop screen. I scrolled through the charges, unsure what I was even looking for. Grocery stores, gas stations, her usual coffee shop. Then I saw it. A charge from 3 weeks ago to a place called Serenity Springs Resort and Spa in Asheville. $437. I stared at the entry. Jennifer hadn't mentioned going to Asheville. We hadn't taken a trip together. I pulled up the next statement. Another charge to the same resort, different amount. $512. Then another from the month before that. My hands felt cold as I opened a browser and searched for Serenity Springs. The website loaded with images of couples in plush robes, champagne glasses, mountain views. "Asheville's premier romantic getaway," the tagline read. I clicked through the photo gallery. Hot tubs, massage rooms, luxury suites with king beds and stone fireplaces. This wasn't a business hotel. This wasn't a conference center. I heard the garage door opening. Jennifer was home earlier than expected, only 7:30. I closed the laptop and stood up from the kitchen table, my pulse hammering in my ears. She came through the mudroom looking tired, her blazer draped over her arm. "Hey," she said, setting her bag down. Traffic wasn't bad for once. "How was work?" I kept my voice level. "Exhausting. We're finalizing the November launch timeline." She kicked off her heels and padded toward the stairs. I'm going to take a quick shower before dinner. I waited until I heard the water running upstairs, then opened my laptop again. I needed more information. I logged into our joint account, the one we used for mortgage, utilities, and household expenses. Nothing unusual there. Then I remembered. Jennifer had mentioned opening a separate savings account last year for emergency funds. She'd said it was just smart financial planning. I'd never looked at it. It took me 15 minutes to find the login credentials in our shared password manager. When the account page loaded, my stomach dropped. The balance was significantly lower than I expected, nearly $18,000 less than what should have been there based on our agreed-upon monthly contributions. I clicked on the transaction history. Withdrawals. Dozens of them over the past 8 months. $2,000 here, $1,500 there, $3,000. All marked as transfers, with no destination account listed. The shower shut off upstairs. I closed everything and stood up, my mind racing. $18,000. Multiple trips to a romantic resort. Late nights that had become routine. An anonymous text asking if my wife always worked this late. Friday morning, I called in sick to work. Jennifer left at her usual time, kissing me on the cheek and telling me to rest. Maybe I was coming down with something. I waited 30 minutes after she left, then got in my car. I didn't have a plan exactly. I just knew I needed to see for myself. Jennifer's pharmaceutical company occupied 4 floors of a glass tower in downtown Charlotte. I'd been there twice before, once for a holiday party, once to pick her up when her car was in the shop. I parked across the street in a public garage and positioned myself where I could see the main entrance. She'd left the house at 7:45. By 8:30, I still hadn't seen her enter the building. At 9:15, my phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. Forgot to mention I have an off-site meeting this morning. Won't be in the office until after lunch. I stared at the message. An off-site meeting she'd forgotten to mention. Jennifer never forgot details like that. She kept a color-coded calendar and set reminders for everything. I typed back, "Hope it goes well. What's the meeting about?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then appeared again. Strategy session with the creative team. Pretty boring stuff. Another lie. I could feel it. I sat in my car for another hour, watching the building entrance, feeling foolish and desperate and angry all at once. This wasn't who I was. I didn't stake out my wife's workplace. I didn't check credit card statements looking for evidence of betrayal. Except now I did. Because something was wrong, and every instinct I had was screaming at me to pay attention. At 11, I drove home. I needed to think, to figure out my next move. But as I pulled into our driveway, I noticed something I'd overlooked before. Jennifer's car was gone, but there was a small package on our front porch. I picked it up. It was addressed to Jennifer, from a medical supply company I didn't recognize. The box was light, already opened, probably delivered yesterday and brought inside, then left out here by mistake. I shouldn't have looked inside. I knew that even as I was pulling back the flaps. Inside were prescription bottles, empty ones. At least a dozen of them, all with Jennifer's name on the labels. Medications I'd never heard of. Ondansetron, prochlorperazine, metoclopramide. I pulled out my phone and searched for the first one. Ondansetron. Used to prevent nausea and vomiting caused by chemotherapy. My blood went cold. I searched the second medication. Same thing. Anti-nausea drugs for chemotherapy patients. The third bottle had a different label, Compazine, another anti-nausea medication. I sat down on the porch steps, the box in my lap, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Why would Jennifer have empty bottles of chemotherapy-related medications? She wasn't sick. She'd never mentioned feeling ill, never had any symptoms, never. My phone rang. Unknown number, but local area code. I answered. Hello? Silence on the other end. Then a male voice, careful and measured. Mr. Mitchell? Andrew Mitchell? Yes. Who is this? Someone who thinks you should know the truth about your wife. The voice was unfamiliar, professional sounding. Check her car when she gets home tonight. Under the passenger seat. You'll find what you're looking for. Who are you? What truth? I'm someone who cares about what's right. That's all you need to know. A pause. Your wife isn't who you think she is, Mr. Mitchell. And what she's doing, it's worse than an affair. Much worse. The line went dead. I sat there holding the phone, the box of empty prescription bottles beside me, my entire world tilting on its axis. Worse than an affair. Chemotherapy medications. $18,000 missing. A romantic resort in Asheville. What the hell was Jennifer involved in? That evening, she came home at 9:45, apologizing for another late night. I watched her move through our house, hanging up her coat, setting down her bag, asking about my day, and I realized I was looking at a stranger. Someone who could smile and ask if I was feeling better while hiding something so dark that anonymous strangers felt compelled to warn me. I'm heading up to bed, she said, kissing my forehead. Don't stay up too late. I waited until I heard our bedroom door close. Then I went to the garage. Jennifer's car was parked in its usual spot. I opened the passenger door and reached under the seat, my hand finding something immediately. A large manila envelope taped to the underside of the seat frame. I pulled it free and opened it. Inside were medical documents, dozens of them. And as I read through them under the garage's fluorescent lights, I felt something inside me break completely. I sat in the car, hands trembling as I pulled the first document from the envelope. The parking lot lights had come on, casting everything in harsh fluorescent white. The letterhead read, Carolina Oncology Associates. My stomach dropped. It was a diagnosis letter dated 6 months ago. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Metastatic. Terminal. Estimated survival time, 6 to 12 months with aggressive treatment. The patient name, Jennifer Ann Mitchell. I read it 3 times. Then 4. The words swam on the page. My wife had cancer. Terminal cancer. And she hadn't told me. Except, the Jennifer I knew didn't look sick. Didn't act sick. She'd been traveling, working late, living normally. I'd seen people go through chemotherapy. My uncle died of pancreatic cancer 5 years ago. The weight loss, the exhaustion, the nausea so severe he couldn't keep water down. Jennifer had none of that. I pulled out the next document. A treatment plan from the same oncology practice, signed by Dr. Ethan Granger, MD. Aggressive chemotherapy regimen. Twice weekly appointments. Estimated cost after insurance, $12,000, $15,000 for the first 3 months. The number matched our missing savings almost exactly. The third document was a GoFundMe printout. I hadn't seen this before. Jennifer must have kept it completely separate. The campaign title, Help Jennifer Fight Pancreatic Cancer. The description was heartbreaking. She'd written about her diagnosis, her young children, her determination to fight. There were photos of her looking pale and tired, though now that I studied them, I recognized the staging. Minimal makeup, strategic lighting, carefully mussed hair. The campaign had raised $43,000. $43,000 from friends, family, co-workers, even strangers. I scrolled through the donor list. My own mother had contributed $500. My sister, $300. People from Jennifer's office, parents from our kids' school, names I recognized from our neighborhood, all of them pouring money into what was supposed to be Jennifer's cancer treatment. I felt like I was going to be sick. The next pages were appointment confirmations from Carolina Oncology Associates. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. for the past 4 months. I pulled out my phone and checked the calendar. Today was Tuesday. According to the schedule, Jennifer should be at an appointment right now. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. I pulled up the Oncology Center's website and found the address. 1847 Randolph Road, Suite 300. I knew that building. It was 15 minutes from here. I started the car. The drive passed in a blur. My mind kept circling back to those photos on the GoFundMe page, Jennifer looking brave and vulnerable. How many times had she practiced that expression? How long had she spent getting the lighting just right? The Oncology Center was in a modern medical building, all glass and steel. I parked and walked through the automatic doors into a lobby that smelled like antiseptic and air freshener. The directory listed Carolina Oncology Associates on the 3rd floor. The elevator ride took forever. When the doors opened, I found myself in a waiting room with soft blue walls and uncomfortable-looking chairs. A few people sat scattered around the space. An elderly man with an IV port visible at his collar. A woman wearing a headscarf, both looking genuinely ill in a way Jennifer never had. I approached the reception desk. A woman in her 50s with kind eyes looked up. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for my wife, Jennifer Mitchell. She should have an appointment right now with Dr. Granger." The receptionist's brow furrowed. She typed something into her computer, then frowned. "I'm sorry, I don't see a Jennifer Mitchell in our system." "Can you check again? She's been coming here for months, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2. More typing. The furrow deepened. "Sir, I've been here 3 years. We don't have any patient by that name, and we don't have a Dr. Granger on staff." The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. Could you check if there's a Dr. Ethan Granger anywhere in this building?" She picked up the phone, made 2 calls. Each time she shook her head. "I'm sorry. There's no Dr. Granger in this building or affiliated with any of our practices." I thanked her and walked back to the elevator on autopilot. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and pulled up the medical board website on my phone. I searched for Ethan Granger. One result came up. Dr. Ethan Granger, licensed in North Carolina. Specialty, oncology. Practice address, 1847 Randolph Road, Suite 300. The same address I was parked in front of. But according to the actual people who worked here, he didn't exist. I clicked through to his full profile. The photo showed a handsome man in his early 40s with salt and pepper hair and an expensive-looking smile. His credentials seemed legitimate. Medical degree from Duke, residency at Johns Hopkins, board certified in oncology. I reverse image searched the photo. The same face appeared on a stock photography website. Confident doctor portrait. Royalty-free medical stock photo. Dr. Ethan Granger wasn't real. The diagnosis wasn't real. The treatment center appointments weren't real. But the money was very real. Our savings. The GoFundMe donations. All of it gone, funneled into whatever Jennifer was actually doing with her Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. My phone buzzed. A text from the unknown number. Serenity Springs Resort. Room 247. Today, now. I stared at the message. Then I pulled up the resort's website and called the main number. Serenity Springs, how may I help you? Yes, I'm trying to reach my wife. She's staying in room 247. Can you connect me? One moment, sir. A pause. I'm showing room 247 is registered to Dr. Ethan Granger. Would you like me to connect you? No, thank you. I hung up and started driving. Asheville was 2 hours away. I made it in 90 minutes, my mind racing the entire time. The pieces were assembling themselves into a picture so grotesque I could barely process it. Jennifer had fabricated a cancer diagnosis, created a fake doctor, stolen from our savings and solicited donations from everyone we knew. And she was using that money given by people who thought they were helping save her life, to fund trips to a luxury resort with someone posing as her oncologist. The cruelty of it was staggering. My mother, who'd lost her brother to the same cancer Jennifer claimed to have, had donated $500. Jennifer's own sister had organized a meal train, bringing us dinners twice a week so Jennifer could rest after treatments. Our kids' teachers had passed around donation jars. All of it based on a lie. Serenity Springs Resort sprawled across a mountainside, all stone and timber designed to look rustic while charging $400 a night. I parked in the visitor lot and walked through the lobby like I belonged there. No one stopped me. Room 247 was on the second floor, at the end of a quiet hallway. I stood outside the door for a long moment, listening. I could hear voices inside, Jennifer's laugh, bright and carefree in a way I hadn't heard it at home in months. A man's voice, lower, saying something I couldn't make out. I knocked. The voices stopped. Footsteps approached. The door opened. The man from the stock photo stood there in a resort bathrobe, his expression shifting from relaxed to alarmed in half a second. Behind him, I could see Jennifer on the bed, wrapped in a matching robe, a bottle of champagne open on the nightstand. She looked healthy, radiant even. Certainly not like someone with 6 months to live. "Andrew," she said, her voice barely a whisper. I held up the manila envelope. "I found your medical records." The man, whoever he really was, had the grace to look uncomfortable. Jennifer just looked angry. "Andrew, this isn't... You can't just..." She stood up, her bathrobe falling open slightly before she clutched it closed. Even now, even caught red-handed, she was trying to find an angle. I could see it in her eyes, that calculating look I'd mistaken for intelligence all these years. "Can't just what?" My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Too calm, too level. "Can't just show up at my wife's chemotherapy appointment? Can't just check on the woman I've been taking care of, making special meals for, holding while she supposedly cried about dying? Let me explain." "No." I pulled out my phone. "You know what? I don't actually want to hear it. Not right now." I opened the camera app and took 3 quick photos. Jennifer and her companion, the champagne, the room number visible on the door behind them. The man finally moved, stepping forward with his hands raised. "Look, we can talk about this like adults." "Adults?" I almost laughed. "You're pretending to be an oncologist. You're using a fake identity to help my wife scam people out of their money. What's your real name?" He didn't answer. Jennifer's eyes darted to him, then back to me. "His name is Kyle," she said quietly. "Kyle Patterson." Jennifer, the man, Kyle, shot her a warning look. "He's going to find out anyway," she snapped at him. Then to me, "He works at the pharmaceutical company, in sales." Of course he did. They probably met at some corporate event, bonded over cocktails and ambition. I wondered how long it had been going on. Months? Years? "So you're not a doctor," I said to Kyle. No. But you were happy to pretend to be one. Happy to help fabricate medical records, create a fake GoFundMe, take money from people who thought they were helping a dying woman. Kyle's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond. I looked at Jennifer. Really looked at her. The woman I'd shared a bed with for 15 years, who'd given birth to our children, who I'd trusted with every part of my life. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Or maybe I was just seeing her clearly for the first time. The anti-nausea medication, I said. The prescription bottles. Where did those come from? Samples from work, she admitted. I emptied them out, kept the bottles. And the medical records? Kyle has access to the company's document templates. We modified them. The casual way she said it made my stomach turn. Like they were a team. Like this was just another project they'd collaborated on. How much? I asked. Andrew, how much money did you steal? Jennifer's face hardened. I didn't steal anything. People gave that money willingly. Based on a lie. Based on you pretending to have cancer. I never explicitly said I had cancer, she said, and there was a hint of defiance in her voice now. The GoFundMe just said I was facing a serious medical challenge and needed help with treatment costs. I stared at her, genuinely stunned. Are you seriously trying to argue semantics right now? You posted fake medical records. You had people calling you, messaging you, telling you about their own family members who died from cancer. Your own mother donated $5,000 because she thought her daughter was dying. That hit something. Jennifer flinched, looked away. Your mother doesn't know? Kyle asked her, sounding surprised. Of course she doesn't know, Jennifer said sharply. Nobody knows. It was supposed to stay. She stopped herself. Supposed to stay secret, I finished. Supposed to be your little nest egg while you planned your exit? Or were you just going to keep running this scam indefinitely? It's not a scam, she insisted, but her voice had lost its conviction. I pulled out my phone again and started scrolling through my photos. I'd taken screenshots of everything. The GoFundMe page, the bank statements, the fake medical records, the stock photo of Dr. Ethan Granger. I've already sent copies of all of this to my email, I told her, and to cloud storage. So whatever you're thinking about doing, grabbing my phone, deleting things, it won't work. What are you going to do? Kyle asked. He'd moved closer to Jennifer, and I realized with a sick feeling that he was probably trying to protect her. Even now. I'm going to go home, I said. I'm going to sleep in the guest room because I can't stand the thought of being in the same bed where you've been lying to me. And tomorrow, I'm going to call a lawyer. Andrew, please. And then, I continued, I'm going to contact every single person who donated to your fake cancer fund. I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm going to give them the option to press charges. Jennifer's face went white. You can't do that. Yes, I can, and I will. Think about the kids, she said, and there was real panic in her voice now. Think about what this will do to them. The rage that had been simmering beneath my forced calm suddenly boiled over. You should have thought about the kids before you faked terminal cancer. You should have thought about them before you stole from our savings account. Before you spent weeks, months, letting them think their mother was dying. They don't know about... Emma asked me last week if you were going to die before Christmas, I said, and my voice cracked. She's been having nightmares. Jack won't sleep unless we leave his light on because he's afraid of waking up and finding out you're gone. So don't you dare tell me to think about the kids. Jennifer was crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no urge to comfort her. Just a vast, hollow emptiness where 15 years of love and trust used to be. I'm leaving, I said. Don't come home tonight. Don't come home until I tell you it's okay. It's my house too, she said, but there was no fight left in her voice. Then I'll leave. I'll take the kids to my brother's. But I can't be around you right now. I turned to go, then stopped. One more thing I needed to know. Who was it? I asked. Who sent me the texts? Who's been feeding me information? Jennifer and Kyle exchanged a look. She shook her head slightly. I don't know what you're talking about, she said. Someone's been texting me. Anonymous number. They told me to check the credit card statements. Told me to look under your car seat. They knew everything. Kyle's expression shifted, just slightly. Surprise, maybe. Or concern. We don't know anything about that, Jennifer said. I didn't believe her, but it didn't matter. Not right now. I'll be in touch through my attorney, I said, and walked out. The hallway seemed longer than it had on the way in. My legs felt unsteady, like I was walking on a boat deck. Behind me, I heard Jennifer's voice, muffled by the closed door, saying something urgent to Kyle. I made it to the elevator before my hands started shaking. Made it to my car before the full weight of what had just happened crashed down on me. I sat in the driver's seat, staring at the resort's lit windows, and tried to remember how to breathe. My phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number. I'm sorry you had to see that, but you needed to know the truth. I typed back, Who are you? The response came quickly. Someone who cares about you. Someone who's been watching Jennifer destroy you piece by piece. You deserve better, Andrew. Tell me who you are. Not yet, but soon. First, you need to protect yourself. Document everything. Get a lawyer tomorrow morning. Don't let her talk you out of this. I stared at the message, my mind racing through possibilities. Someone from Jennifer's work? A friend who'd discovered the truth? Another person Kyle had scammed? Why are you helping me? Because nobody helped me when I needed it. Because Jennifer and Kyle have done this before, and they'll do it again unless someone stops them. My blood ran cold. They've done this before? Yes, I'll send you proof tomorrow. Right now, just go home. Hold your kids, and start planning your next move. The conversation ended there. No matter what I typed, there was no response. I started the car and pulled out of the parking lot, leaving Serenity Springs Resort behind. As I merged onto the highway back toward Charlotte, I realized something. The anonymous informant was right. I did need to protect myself. But I also needed to make sure Jennifer and Kyle faced real consequences for what they'd done. And tomorrow, that's exactly what I was going to start working on. I stood there in the doorway of room 247, my phone still recording in my hand, watching my wife and her lover frozen like department store mannequins. The champagne bottle sat sweating on the table between them. Jennifer's face had gone through several colors in rapid succession. Pale white, then flushed red, now settling into an ashen gray that matched the hotel's overpriced linens. Andrew, she said again, her voice barely above a whisper. Please, let me explain. Explain? The word came out sharper than I intended. You've been explaining for months. Cancer, remember? Terminal. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. You've been very thorough with your explanations. Kyle, or whatever his real name was, had recovered some of his composure. He stood up slowly, setting down his champagne flute with deliberate care. Listen, man. I think you're misunderstanding the situation here. Shut up. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. Something in my tone made him sit back down. You don't get to talk, Not yet. I turned my attention back to Jennifer. She'd pulled the robe tighter around herself, as if modesty mattered now. As if I hadn't seen every facet of who she really was in the past 3 days. The kids, I said quietly. Emma had another nightmare last night. She woke up screaming that you were dead. Tyler won't eat. He's lost 4 pounds in 2 weeks because he's so worried about his dying mother. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. Real ones, probably. She'd always been able to cry on command. I'd seen her do it to get out of a speeding ticket once. I'd thought it was charming at the time. I never wanted them to worry, she said. I was going to tell them it was a misdiagnosis, that I was getting better. When? After you'd spent all the GoFundMe money? After you'd drained our retirement accounts? When exactly were you planning this miraculous recovery? She didn't answer. Kyle shifted uncomfortably in his chair. How much? I asked. Total. How much have you stolen? It's not stealing, Jennifer said, her voice gaining a defensive edge. The GoFundMe money was given freely. Based on lies. That's called fraud. I looked at Kyle. And you? You work for her pharmaceutical company, don't you? Kyle Patterson, sales rep. I found your LinkedIn profile this morning. His jaw tightened. So what? So you used company resources to forge medical documents. That's not just fraud, that's forgery. Probably a dozen other crimes I haven't thought of yet. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to one of the many screenshots I'd taken. I've got your employment records, your real photo, everything. The anonymous tipster was very thorough. Jennifer's head snapped toward Kyle. What anonymous tipster? Someone who's been feeding me information, I said. Someone who seems to know a lot about both of you. They told me they'd send proof that you've done this before. I'm still waiting on that, but I have a feeling it's coming. The color drained from Kyle's face. Jennifer's too. They exchanged a look that told me everything I needed to know. There are others, I said. It wasn't a question. Neither of them spoke. My phone buzzed in my hand. A text from the unknown number. Check your email. Sent you files on Denver and Phoenix. Same playbook. Different names. Kyle was Dr. Michael Brennan in Denver, Dr. Christopher Hayes in Phoenix. Jennifer went by Lisa in Denver, Michelle in Phoenix. Always terminal cancer. Always luxury resort getaways. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Denver, I said, watching their faces. Phoenix. How many times have you done this? Jennifer stood up abruptly. I want a lawyer. Good idea. You're gonna need one. I held up my phone. I've been recording since I walked in. Got everything on video. You, him, the champagne, this room, all of it. You can't record me without my consent. Jennifer's voice had gone shrill. That's illegal. Actually, North Carolina is a one-party consent state. I only need my own permission to record. I'd looked that up this morning, along with a lot of other legal information. But even if it wasn't admissible in court, I'm sure the 473 people who donated to your GoFundMe campaign would be interested in seeing it. You wouldn't, but her voice wavered. Try me. Kyle stood up again, and this time there was something ugly in his expression. You think you're so smart, showing up here with your little recording. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Enlighten me. Sit down, Kyle, Jennifer said sharply. No. He took a step toward me. This self-righteous piece of... He comes in here, acts like he's some kind of hero, when he's just a middle management nobody who couldn't keep his wife satisfied. I'd been in exactly 3 fights in my entire life, all of them in middle school. I'm not a violent person. Never have been. But something about the way he said that, the sneer in his voice, the implication that this was somehow my fault. I hit him. My fist connected with his jaw with a crack that I felt all the way up to my shoulder. He stumbled backward, knocked over the champagne bucket, and sat down hard on the floor. Water and ice scattered across the carpet. My hand hurt like hell. Totally worth it. Andrew, Jennifer rushed to Kyle's side. Not to me, not to apologize, not to explain. To him. That told me everything else I needed to know. I'm leaving, I said. My voice sounded remarkably steady considering my heart was hammering against my ribs. I've already contacted a divorce attorney. Her name is Brenda Walsh, and she specializes in fraud cases. She's very interested in your situation. You can't just, Jennifer started. I also called the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Detective Raymond Cooper is expecting my call with an update. He suggested I document everything, which is why I'm recording. He's very interested in your fake cancer scheme. That was mostly true. I'd spoken to Detective Cooper this morning, explained the situation. He'd told me to gather evidence and come in tomorrow to file a formal report. But Jennifer didn't need to know the exact timeline. And one more thing, I said, backing toward the door. I've drafted an email to every single person who donated to your GoFundMe. It includes screenshots of the fake medical records, proof that Dr. Ethan Granger doesn't exist, photos of you two from the resort security cameras. They were very helpful when I explained the situation, by the way, and a full accounting of where the money actually went. It's scheduled to send at midnight tonight unless I cancel it. Jennifer's face had gone white again. Andrew, please. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can… Midnight, I repeated. Unless you're both at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. tomorrow, ready to sign full confessions and agree to repay every cent you've stolen. Every cent. Kyle was still on the floor, holding his jaw. You're insane. No, I said. I'm done being the fool. I walked out of the room, down the hallway and into the elevator. My hand was already swelling, and I was pretty sure I'd broken at least one knuckle. I didn't care. The elevator doors closed and I saw my reflection in the polished brass. I looked different somehow. Older. Harder. My phone buzzed again. Well done. But this is just the beginning. Tomorrow, send the email anyway. They won't show up to the attorney's office and they won't repay anything willingly. You need to burn it all down. Trust me. I know how this ends. I stared at the message as the elevator descended. Who was this person? How did they know Jennifer and Kyle's pattern so well? Another message appeared. Denver victim's name was Robert Newman. Phoenix was David Klein. I'll send you their contact information. They deserve to know you're stopping these two. And you deserve to know you're not alone. The elevator reached the lobby. I stepped out into the warm evening air, got in my car, and sat there for a long moment, staring at my phone. Then I opened my email and looked at the draft message to the GoFundMe donors. 473 people who'd given money out of sympathy and kindness. 473 people who deserved the truth. I moved the send time up from midnight to 10 p.m. 2 hours from now, everyone would know. The anonymous tipster's final message sat on my screen like a loaded gun. They won't comply. They never do. Burn it all down. I stared at those words until they blurred. Part of me, the part that had spent 15 years believing in Jennifer's goodness, wanted to give her the chance to do the right thing. The other part, the part that had seen her face when I caught her at the resort, knew better. It was 11:47 p.m., 9 hours and 13 minutes until my deadline. I forwarded the tipster's message about Robert Newman and David Klein to Detective Cooper with a simple note. 2 previous victims, different cities, same scam. How many more? His response came faster than I expected for the late hour. Already running searches. Don't do anything until we talk tomorrow. 8 a.m., my office. I typed back. My email goes out at 9 a.m. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, understood. We'll work with that timeline. The house felt too quiet. I'd sent the kids to my sister's place in Raleigh that afternoon, telling them their mother needed space for an important medical treatment. The lie tasted like ash, but the truth would have been worse. They'd find out soon enough. The whole world would. I pulled up the GoFundMe page again. The total had climbed to $43,147 since I'd last checked. 17 new donations in the past 3 hours alone. A woman named Patricia Jennings had contributed $50 with a message. Lost my own mother to pancreatic cancer last year. Praying for your healing journey, Jennifer. Stay strong. My hand shook as I screenshotted the comment. Evidence, documentation, ammunition. The anonymous tipster had gone silent after their last message, but I opened our thread anyway and typed, "Who are you?" I didn't expect an answer, but after 5 minutes my phone buzzed. Someone who should have burned it down the first time. Don't make my mistake. You're one of them. Newman or Klein? The typing indicator appeared immediately. Klein. Denver, 3 years ago. She was Emma Cartwright then. He was Dr. Michael Brennan, oncologist specializing in rare blood cancers. They took $67,000 from people who could barely afford groceries. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Why didn't you go to the police? I did. By the time they investigated, Emma and Michael had disappeared. New identities, new city. The DA said without suspects in custody, the case went cold. Most donors didn't want to press charges anyway. Too embarrassed they'd been fooled. That won't happen here. Good. I've been tracking them for 2 years. When Jennifer Mitchell's pharmaceutical company profile popped up in Charlotte with her real photo, I knew I'd found her. Took me another 6 months to confirm Kyle Patterson was the same man. You could have told me sooner. Would you have believed me? A stranger claiming your wife was a professional con artist? The question sat there, unanswerable. You needed to see it yourself. Find the evidence. That's the only way it sticks. He was right. If someone had approached me 2 weeks ago with this story, I would have dismissed them as crazy. Jennifer was my wife, the mother of my children, a respected pharmaceutical executive. But Jennifer Mitchell wasn't real. She was just another role, like Emma Cartwright before her. What happened to Newman? I asked. The Phoenix victim? Suicide. 8 months after they vanished with his money. The words hit me like a physical blow. I sat down hard on the edge of the bed. My bed, not ours. Never ours again. He'd mortgaged his house to help pay for her treatment, Klein continued. When the truth came out, he lost everything. Family, savings, home. His brother found him in a garage with the car running. I thought about the donations, Patricia Jennings and her $50, my own mother's $1,000, the anonymous contributor who'd given $500 with the message, "For the children." How many of these people were sacrificing money they couldn't afford to lose? I'm sorry, I typed, though the words felt inadequate. Don't be sorry, be thorough. I'm sending you everything I have. Bank records, photos, timeline of their movements. The detective you're working with, Cooper, he's good. I already reached out to him tonight. You what? Sent him my files an hour ago. Anonymous tip. He'll have started cross-referencing by now. My phone buzzed with an incoming call. Detective Cooper. I need to go, I told Klein. One more thing. The message came through as I was about to switch to the call. Newman had a brother who wanted justice. I have his contact information. He'll want to know you're finishing what we couldn't. I answered Cooper's call. You got the files. I got files from someone claiming to be a previous victim, yes. Are you in contact with this person? No point in lying. He's the anonymous tipster, David Klein from Denver. He's been tracking them. Jesus, I heard papers rustling. Okay, this changes things. If we can establish a pattern of fraud across state lines, we're looking at federal charges. Wire fraud, conspiracy, potentially identity theft. I'm looping in the FBI. The FBI, my voice came out strangled. Mitchell, if what Klein is saying is true, your wife and her boyfriend aren't just con artists. They're serial predators. The Bureau has a task force for this kind of thing. Organized fraud schemes that cross state boundaries. I walked to the window. Our street looked peaceful in the darkness. Porch lights glowing. Cars in driveways. Normal houses with normal families living normal lives. How long? I asked. How long what? Until they arrest her. Cooper was quiet for a moment. We need to verify Klein's information first. Cross-reference the identities, confirm the paper trail. With your evidence and his, plus what we can pull from financial records. 48 hours, maybe 72. But Mitchell, you need to understand. Once we move on this, it's going to be big. Federal prosecution, media attention, the works. Good. Is it? His tone shifted, became almost gentle. Your kids are going to see their mother on the news, in handcuffs. Your name is going to be everywhere. People will want interviews, statements. Your life is about to become very public. I thought about my children, asleep at my sister's house. About the conversation I'd have to have with them. About the therapy bills and the questions from their friends and the weight they'd carry knowing their mother was a monster. She made that choice, I said. Not me. Fair enough. 8 a.m. tomorrow, my office. Bring everything you have. And Mitchell, don't contact your wife. Don't warn her. If she runs, I won't. After we hung up, I sat in the darkness of my home office, surrounded by the evidence of Jennifer's betrayal. The fake medical documents, the bank statements, the screenshots of her GoFundMe lies. My laptop showed 12:43 a.m., 8 hours and 17 minutes until my email went out. I opened my draft one more time, reading through the message I'd prepared for all 473 donors. It was clinical, factual, devastating. I'd attached scans of every piece of evidence. Photos of Jennifer and Kyle at the resort. Bank records showing the stolen money. The fake medical documents with their stock photo doctor. At the bottom, I'd included links to Detective Cooper's direct line and the case number he'd assigned. Instructions for how to file complaints. Contact information for the district attorney's office. To everyone who donated to Jennifer Mitchell's GoFundMe campaign, it began, you were lied to. My phone buzzed. Another message from Klein. Newman's brother is named Todd Newman, Phoenix. He's expecting your call. A phone number followed. I stared at it for a long moment, then dialed. He answered on the second ring. You're the Charlotte victim. Not a question. Andrew Mitchell. Todd Newman. Klein said you caught them. I did. Good. His voice was rough, abraded by grief. My brother died believing he'd been a fool, that he deserved what happened. I need you to understand something, Andrew. This isn't just about money. I know. Do you? Because when this goes public, people are going to say your wife is a con artist, a fraud, a criminal. They're going to talk about prison time and restitution, but that's not what she is. Then what is she? A predator. She finds good people, people who love deeply, who trust easily, and she weaponizes their compassion. My brother wasn't stupid. He was kind. And she killed him for it. The words hung in the air between us. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be sorry. Make sure she pays. Make sure everyone knows what she is. Make sure no one else ends up like Robert. After we hung up, I added Todd Newman's statement to my evidence file. Then I set my alarm for 7 a.m. and tried to sleep. I didn't succeed. The living room felt different at 1 a.m. Same furniture, same framed photos on the mantle, same throw pillows Jennifer had spent 3 weekends selecting last spring. But the space had transformed into something unfamiliar. A stage set I'd been performing on without realizing the audience had left years ago. I sat in the dark, laptop screen, the only light, watching the cursor blink in my email drafts. The message sat there, scheduled for 9 a.m., addressed to 473 people who'd opened their hearts and wallets to a woman who'd never been sick a day in her life. Every word I'd written was true. Every attachment, screenshots, bank statements, photos of Jennifer and Kyle at the resort was damning. My phone buzzed. Klein again. You still awake? Yeah? Listen, there's something else you should know. About what happens next. I pressed the phone harder against my ear. What do you mean? When this goes public, and it will, even if you don't send that email, your life becomes a circus. The news crews, the angry donors showing up at your house, the lawyers. Denver was a nightmare. I had reporters camped outside my apartment for 2 weeks. They wanted to know how I'd been fooled, whether I'd been complicit, if I felt stupid for falling for it. I didn't fall for anything. I'm the one exposing it. Doesn't matter. You're married to her. You share a bank account. Some people will assume you knew. Others will treat you like you're brain damaged for not noticing. Either way, you become part of the story. Through the window, I watched a car roll slowly down our street. Not Jennifer's Lexus. Just a neighbor coming home late. But my heart had already kicked into overdrive. The FBI agent I spoke to, Agent Brennan, she mentioned protective measures. Do I need those? Klein's pause lasted too long. In Phoenix, Robert Newman got death threats. People who donated their rent money, their kids' college funds. They wanted someone to pay, and when Jennifer disappeared, he was the only target left. His brother told me Robert got 37 threatening voicemails in 1 week. Someone spray-painted "thief" across his garage door. But he was a victim, too. Like I said, doesn't matter. You're asking people to accept they were conned. That's a hard pill. Easier to believe you were in on it than to admit they got played by someone that good. I stood and walked to the window, phone still pressed to my ear. Our street looked exactly as it always did. Neat lawns, sensible sedans in driveways, porch lights creating small islands of safety in the darkness. In 8 hours, this street would know what lived at 1247 Oakmont Drive. The house where the cancer scam lady lived. Where her stupid husband never noticed. What did you do? I asked. In Denver, when it all came out? I moved, changed jobs, started over in Raleigh. Took 18 months before I stopped looking over my shoulder. He exhaled slowly. Look, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. This thing gets worse before it gets better. It's already pretty bad. No, right now it's private. You, Jennifer, Kyle, a few law enforcement people. Tomorrow it becomes public property. Everyone gets to have an opinion about your marriage, your intelligence, your judgment. They'll dissect every photo you ever posted on social media, every public appearance. Someone will find your LinkedIn and start commenting about how you must be incompetent at work too, if you couldn't spot this at home. I thought about Emma and Jack, asleep upstairs. Tomorrow was Wednesday, school day. By afternoon, their classmates would know. Kids are ruthless with information like this. The children, I said. How do I protect them? You can't, not completely, but you can control the narrative. That's why your email is smart. You get ahead of it, frame the story. You're the whistleblower, not the dupe. Still won't stop everything, but it helps. My laptop screen had gone dark. I moved the mouse, and the scheduled email reappeared. Subject line: The truth about Jennifer Mitchell's cancer fund. 9 a.m. delivery. 473 recipients. Attachments: 47 files. Klein, the guy in Phoenix, Robert Newman. You said he killed himself. Yeah. Was it just the threats? The public humiliation? Another pause. His brother said it was the betrayal. Robert really loved her, Emma, whatever her real name is. He'd proposed 2 weeks before the truth came out. Bought a ring, planned this whole elaborate thing at sunset. She said yes. Wore the ring to her fake chemo appointments. Klein's voice had gone flat, reciting facts to avoid feeling them. When he found out it was all performance, that she'd never loved him at all, that he was just a mark. Todd said Robert couldn't reconcile it. Couldn't make sense of a world where someone could fake that completely. That's not going to happen to me. Good. Because your kids need you functional. And because the best revenge isn't destroying yourself, it's watching them face consequences. Through the phone, I heard Klein moving around, the clink of glass. You still have that business card? Agent Brennan's? Yeah. Call her first thing in the morning, before your email goes out. Let her know it's happening. The FBI will want to coordinate. They've probably been building a case since I contacted them 2 years ago, and your evidence might be the final piece they need. Plus, if you give them a heads up, they can potentially offer you some protection from the blowback. What kind of protection? Victim advocate services, media liaison, maybe a referral to a family counselor who specializes in fraud trauma. The Bureau has resources. Use them. I walked back to the couch and sat down, laptop balanced on my knees. The house was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen, the old furnace clicking on in the basement. Domestic sounds, the acoustic backdrop of a normal life. How long did it take? I asked. Before you felt normal again? Klein laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'll let you know when it happens. It's been 2 years, and I still Google their names every week looking for news. Still check my bank account twice a day. Still feel my stomach drop when someone at work mentions cancer. He paused. But I sleep better knowing I tried to warn people, that I didn't just let them keep doing it. That's why you called me. That's why I called you, and why I'm still up at 1 in the morning making sure you don't lose your nerve. I'm not losing my nerve. Good, because at 8:55 tomorrow morning, you're going to be staring at that laptop wondering if you should cancel the email. Wondering if maybe you can handle this privately, keep it contained, protect your kids from the publicity. You'll rationalize that the FBI can handle it, that you don't need to publicly humiliate your wife, that maybe there's a better way. He was right. I could already feel that future version of myself, finger hovering over the cancel button. Don't, Klein said, reading my silence. The only thing worse than everyone knowing is everyone not knowing while she moves on to the next city, the next name, the next victim. Your email isn't cruelty, it's inoculation. Every person who reads it is one less mark for their next con. My phone buzzed with another incoming call. I pulled it away from my ear and looked at the screen. Jennifer. She's calling me, I said. Don't answer. What if? There's no what if. Anything she says now is strategy. She's had 3 hours to plan her approach. Whatever story she's crafted, it'll be good. She'll cry or threaten or promise to explain everything. Don't give her the opening. The phone continued buzzing in my hand. 4 rings. 5. I have to go, I told Klein. Thank you. For all of this. Call Agent Brennan in the morning. And Andrew. When this is over, when the arrests happen and the trial ends and the news crews finally leave you alone, you're going to be okay. Not the same, but okay. I promise. The call ended. Jennifer's call went to voicemail. I sat in the dark, watching the notification appear. New voicemail from Jennifer Mitchell. I didn't listen to it. Instead, I opened my laptop and added one more recipient to the 9 a.m. email. Detective Raymond Cooper. Then I pulled up Agent Brennan's contact information and drafted a new message, this one scheduled for 7 a.m., giving her 2 hours notice before the public detonation. Subject line: Evidence delivery and coordination request, Mitchell cancer fraud case. The cursor blinked. Waiting. I hit schedule and closed the laptop. 6 hours until sunrise. 8 hours until 473 people learned the truth. I went upstairs to check on Emma and Jack one more time before whatever came next. The hotel room felt smaller as the night wore on. I sat on the edge of the bed, laptop open, watching the scheduled email sit in my drafts folder like a loaded gun. 8:47 a.m. tomorrow morning. In less than 12 hours, 473 people would know the truth. My phone buzzed. Detective Cooper. Mr. Mitchell, we've got movement on your wife's credit cards. She just booked 2 one-way tickets to Cancun, departing tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. out of Charlotte Douglas. My stomach dropped. 2 tickets? Her and Patterson. We're coordinating with TSA and airport security. They won't make that flight, I can promise you that. But I wanted you to know, she's planning to run. After we hung up, I stared at the ceiling. Jennifer was in our house right now, probably packing. Maybe she'd already told the kids some lie about a surprise vacation. Maybe she'd planned to take them too, use them as shields or leverage. The thought made my hands shake. I called my attorney, Nathan Brooks, even though it was past 11. Andrew. His voice was alert despite the hour. What's wrong? She's trying to flee the country. Tomorrow morning. Detective Cooper just called. I heard him moving, the sound of papers rustling. Okay, listen carefully. Do not go to that house tonight. Do you understand me? You stay exactly where you are. My kids are safer if you don't escalate this into a hostage situation. Jennifer doesn't know we know about the flight. She thinks she has time. The police will intercept her at the airport and will have emergency custody paperwork ready to file the second she's arrested. Your parents have the kids, correct? Yes. Then they're safe. Jennifer won't do anything to draw attention before that flight. She needs everything to look normal for the next 12 hours. He was right, but it didn't make the waiting easier. At 6:30 a.m., I gave up on sleep. The email would send in 2.5 hours. I showered, checked out of the hotel, and drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks from the police station. Detective Cooper had asked me to be available this morning, close by but not at the house. My phone rang at 7:15. Unknown number. Hello? Andrew Mitchell? A woman's voice, professional and clipped. Yes? This is Vanessa Cole from WCNC Channel 36. We received an interesting tip this morning about a cancer charity fraud case involving your wife, Jennifer Mitchell. Would you be willing to comment? My mind raced. How did you get this information? We protect our sources, Mr. Mitchell, but I can tell you that we've been investigating GoFundMe fraud in the Charlotte area for several weeks. Your wife's campaign came up in our research. We'd like to give you an opportunity to tell your side of the story. Someone had leaked it. Maybe one of the donors I'd contacted, maybe someone at the police department. It didn't matter now. I have no comment at this time, I said, but I suggest you check your email at 9 a.m. Why? What happens at 9 a.m.? I hung up. At 8:47, Detective Cooper called. We're in position at the airport. Her flight doesn't board until 11 SOS, but we've spotted her and Patterson in the terminal. They checked in early. The email sends in 13 minutes. I know. We'll move before that. Agent Brennan wants to make the arrest while they still think they're getting away with it. More likely to say something incriminating. There's a reporter sniffing around. WCNC. He swore softly. Media's going to turn this into a circus. You prepared for that? Was I? I thought about Emma and Jack, about their faces when they saw their mother on the news, about the kids at school who'd recognize the name, about the whispers, stares, and questions. No, I said honestly, but it doesn't change anything. At 8:52, my phone started buzzing with texts. David Klein in Denver. News stations here are picking it up. Someone leaked early. You okay? Then Robert Newman's sister in Phoenix. CNN just called me. They know about Robert. At 8:58, I watched the email queue on my laptop. 1 minute. At 8:59, Detective Cooper called. We're moving now. Airport security is with us. I heard voices in the background, official and commanding. Then a woman's scream, high, sharp, unmistakable. Jennifer. The email sent at 9 a.m. exactly. My phone exploded with notifications. Email replies, text messages, calls from numbers I didn't recognize. I silenced it and listened to Detective Cooper's line, still connected. Jennifer Mitchell, Kyle Patterson, you're under arrest for wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and theft by deception. That was Agent Brennan's voice, formal and final. You have the right to remain silent. More screaming from Jennifer. This is insane. I don't know what you're talking about. Andrew, where's Andrew? He'll tell you this is a mistake. Kyle's voice panicked. I want a lawyer. I'm not saying anything without a lawyer. Smart choice, Agent Brennan said dryly. You're going to need a good one. The line went dead. I sat in the coffee shop surrounded by the normal sounds of a Thursday morning. Espresso machines hissing, quiet conversations, someone's laptop playing music too loudly. The world kept turning while mine detonated. My phone rang again. Nathan Brooks. The arrest happened? Yes, just now. Good. I'm filing the emergency custody motion in 30 minutes. Judge Pemberton is hearing it at 2 p.m. today. Can you be there? Yes. Bring your parents and the kids. The judge will want to see that they're safe and stable. Wear something conservative. This is going to move fast, Andrew. Once the media gets hold of this, they already have it. WCNC called me an hour ago. He was quiet for a moment. Then we're in damage control mode. I'm going to refer you to a PR consultant who specializes in this kind of situation. Her name is Patricia Vance. She'll help you manage the media circus and protect the kids from the worst of it. I don't want to be on TV. You won't have a choice. This story has everything: fake cancer, stolen charity money, an affair, multi-state fraud. It's going to be national news by tonight. You need to control the narrative before it controls you. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and started reading the email responses flooding in. I donated $200 to your wife. I'm a cancer survivor myself. How could she do this? My mother died of pancreatic cancer last year. We gave $500 because we knew how hard it was. I want to press charges. This is absolutely disgusting. I shared her GoFundMe with everyone I know. I feel like an idiot. Thank you for exposing this. My sister was scammed the same way in Denver. We never got justice. I hope they rot in prison. Some were sympathetic to me. Many were just angry, hurt, betrayed. A few accused me of being complicit, of knowing all along. Those stung the most. At 10:30, my phone rang with a local number. Mr. Mitchell, this is Dr. Carolyn Foster from Eastridge Elementary. I'm calling about Emma and Jack. My heart stopped. Are they okay? They're physically fine, but there are news vans in our parking lot. Reporters are asking parents about your family. We've had to implement our crisis protocol and keep the children inside during recess. I think it would be best if you picked them up early today. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I called my mother on the way. Mom, can you meet me at the kids' school? We need to get them out of there. I'm already watching the news, sweetheart. Her voice was thick with tears. How could she do this? How could Jennifer do this to those babies? I don't know. But right now I need you to hold it together. The kids are going to have questions and we need to have answers ready. What do we tell them? I pulled into the school parking lot and saw the news vans. 3 of them, cameras pointed at the building's entrance. A reporter spotted my car and started walking toward me. We tell them the truth, I said. Their mother made very bad choices and now she has to face the consequences. But we love them, and they're safe. And none of this is their fault. Andrew, I have to go, Mom. I'll see you at the courthouse at 2. I got out of the car and walked toward the school entrance, ignoring the reporter calling my name, ignoring the camera tracking my movement. The principal was waiting at the door, her expression sympathetic and professional. Mr. Mitchell, Emma and Jack are in my office. They don't know what's happening yet. Thank you for protecting them. She touched my arm briefly. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Inside her office, Emma and Jack sat on a small couch, looking confused and worried. Emma was 10, old enough to sense when something was wrong. Jack was 7, still young enough to trust that adults would fix everything. Dad? Emma stood up. Why are there cameras outside? I knelt in front of them, taking both their hands. Something very serious has happened, I said, and I need you both to be brave while I explain it. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Jennifer and Kyle both pleaded not guilty, which meant every sordid detail got aired in open court. The prosecution presented evidence of 3 previous schemes: Denver, Phoenix, and one in Austin we hadn't even known about. 17 victims total. Over $200,000 stolen across 4 years. I testified on day 12. The defense attorney tried to paint me as a negligent husband who should have noticed what was happening in his own home. It didn't work. The jury saw the forged medical documents, the fake doctor profiles, the meticulous planning that had gone into each deception. They deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Jennifer got 8 years in federal prison. Kyle got 10 because of his prior record. Turned out he'd been running insurance scams before he met Jennifer. Neither showed remorse during sentencing. Jennifer actually smiled at me from the defendant's table, like this was all some elaborate game she'd ultimately win. That was 18 months ago. Emma's in therapy twice a week. She struggles with trust, asks me constantly if I'm telling the truth about small things. Dad, did you really go to the grocery store? Can I see the receipt? It breaks my heart every time, but her therapist says it's normal. She's rebuilding her understanding of how honesty works. Jack has nightmares less frequently now. Maybe once a month instead of every night. He drew a picture in art class last week. Our family, but just the three of us. Me, him, and Emma. He didn't include his mother. When I asked about it, he said simply, "She's not part of our family anymore." I didn't correct him. David Klein and I meet for coffee every few months. He's dating someone new, taking it slow. He says some days he still feels like he's waiting for the other shoe to drop, for his girlfriend to reveal herself as another con artist. I understand that feeling. I haven't been on a single date since the divorce was finalized. Can't imagine trusting someone that way again. Todd Newman came to the sentencing. He sat in the back row and cried when the judge read Jennifer's sentence. Afterward, he shook my hand and said, "Robert would be glad someone finally stopped her." It didn't bring his brother back, but maybe it gave him some measure of peace. The GoFundMe donors mostly got their money back. The FBI seized Jennifer and Kyle's assets, the luxury cars, jewelry, designer clothes they'd bought with stolen charity funds. It didn't cover everything, but a victim restitution fund distributed about 60 cents on the dollar. Some people refused the money, said they'd rather it go to actual cancer research. The fund ended up donating $30,000 to the American Cancer Society in Robert Newman's name. My mother still apologizes sometimes for not seeing through Jennifer. I tell her the same thing every time. Jennifer was a professional. This was what she did, who she was. The only person responsible for Jennifer's choices was Jennifer. We sold the house on Oakmont Drive. Too many memories, too many neighbors who still looked at me with pity or suspicion. We moved to a smaller place in a different school district. Fresh start for all of us. Emma asked me last month if people are fundamentally good or fundamentally bad. We were driving home from her therapy appointment, stopped at a red light. I thought about Jennifer, about the woman I'd believed I married versus the stranger who'd emerged. About Kyle and his practiced charm, about all the people who donated to a fake cancer fund because they wanted to help. I think most people are trying to be good, I told her, but some people are broken in ways that make them dangerous. The trick is learning to tell the difference. How do you tell? The light turned green. I accelerated slowly, choosing my words carefully. You pay attention. You trust your instincts. And you remember that real love doesn't require you to ignore warning signs or make excuses for bad behavior. Real love is honest, even when honesty is hard. She was quiet for a moment. Then, "Do you think you'll ever get married again?" "I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe someday. If I meet someone who makes me want to try." "Someone who tells the truth?" "Someone who tells the truth," I agreed. Jax started asking about his mother recently. Where she is, what she's doing, if she thinks about him. I answer honestly but gently. She's in prison. She made choices that hurt a lot of people. I don't know what she thinks about, but I hope she thinks about the damage she caused. He asked if she ever loved us. That one was harder. I think she loved the idea of us, I said. the picture we made, the life we represented. But real love requires being honest about who you are, and your mother was never honest about anything. So it wasn't real. Nobody, it wasn't real. He cried for a while after that. I held him and let him grieve for the mother he thought he had, the one who never actually existed. The media circus died down after about 6 months. We still get the occasional reporter calling on the anniversary of the arrest, asking for updates or interviews. I always decline. This story isn't entertainment. It's our life, our trauma, our slow climb back to something resembling normal. I changed jobs last year. The telecommunications firm was understanding, but I couldn't walk into that office without people whispering, wondering, treating me like a victim or a fool or both. I'm a project manager at a nonprofit now, helping coordinate disaster relief efforts. The pay's less, but the work feels meaningful. Like I'm balancing some cosmic ledger. Patricia Vance, the PR consultant Nathan Brooks connected me with, became a friend. She helped me navigate the worst of the media attention, taught me how to protect the kids from cameras and questions. She lost her husband to a different kind of betrayal, embezzlement and fraud that destroyed their business and reputation. She understood the particular shame of being married to someone who turned out to be a monster. It's not your fault, she told me during one of our early meetings. But it's going to feel like your fault for a long time. You'll replay every conversation, every moment, looking for the signs you missed. You'll wonder if you were stupid or blind or willfully ignorant. You'll question every judgment call you've ever made. Does that feeling go away? Eventually. But you have to forgive yourself first. Forgive yourself for being human, for trusting someone you loved, for believing that people are fundamentally decent. Those aren't character flaws. They're what make you a good person. I'm working on that. Some days are easier than others. Emma made the honor roll last semester. Jack scored 2 goals in his soccer game last weekend. We have pizza movie nights on Fridays. We're building new traditions, new memories that aren't tainted by Jennifer's lies. Last week, I got a letter from Jennifer. The prison forwarded it to my attorney, who asked if I wanted to read it. I said no at first. Then I changed my mind. It was 3 pages, handwritten. She didn't apologize, didn't take responsibility. Instead, she explained, rationalized really, how the system was rigged against people like her, how she'd done what she needed to survive, how if I really loved her I'd understand. She asked me to bring the kids to visit, said they needed their mother. I burned it in the fireplace that night. Emma and Jack watched the pages curl and blacken. What did she say? Emma asked. Nothing worth remembering. The hardest lesson I've learned is this. Some people are fundamentally broken in ways you can't fix, can't love away, can't even fully understand. Jennifer looked at other people and saw only opportunities, resources to be extracted, roles to be played, marks to be conned. She mimicked human connection without ever actually feeling it. That's not something I could have detected or prevented. It's not something I should blame myself for missing. But I can choose to be different. I can choose to be honest with my children, even when the truth hurts. I can choose to build a life based on authenticity rather than performance. I can choose to believe that most people are fundamentally decent while remaining alert to the ones who aren't. David Klein was right. I'm not the same person I was before all this. I'm more cautious, more skeptical, slower to trust. But I'm also stronger, more resilient, more certain of my own judgment and values. Emma asked me recently what I'd learned from everything that happened. We were sitting on the back porch watching Jack play in the yard. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. I learned that you can survive things you thought would destroy you, I said. I learned that the worst betrayals teach you who you really are. And I learned that protecting people you love sometimes means exposing hard truths, even when it costs you everything. Was it worth it? She asked. Sending that email, starting everything? I thought about Robert Newman, dead in his garage because no one stopped Jennifer and Kyle soon enough. I thought about the other victims, 17 people across 4 cities who'd been used and discarded. I thought about all the future marks who'd been saved because we'd finally ended their run. Yes, I said. It was worth it. She nodded, satisfied. Then, Dad? I'm glad you told the truth, even though it was hard. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. The sun finished setting. Jack came running up to the porch, grass-stained and grinning, asking if we could have ice cream before dinner. I said yes because some rules are meant to be broken and joy should be grabbed whenever it appears. We went inside together, the 3 of us, our small family, scarred but surviving. Behind us, the porch light came on automatically, pushing back the darkness. Not perfect, but enough. In the end, that's all any of us can hope for. Enough light to see by, enough strength to keep going, and enough honesty to build something real from the wreckage of what was false. Jennifer stole a lot from us, but she didn't steal everything. We're still here. We're still honest. We're still capable of love, even if it comes more carefully now. And that, I've learned, is the only revenge that truly matters. Not destroying the person who hurt you, but refusing to let them destroy who you are. The trial, the media circus, the public humiliation. None of it brought me satisfaction. But watching my kids laugh again, trust again, hope again, that's victory, that's justice, that's enough.